G'day Bomber fans. Well, the 2025 Under-18s National Championships wrapped up yesterday for Vic Metro and all teams. And that means it is time for me to tell you guys about how our NGA kids did. Hussien Achkar and Adam Sweid, both linked to the Bombers. There's lots to talk about with them. It was a really interesting string of games. Some will wonder why I even bother talking about champs, but this is a very important carnival for draft hopefuls. It's pretty much a month or two of footy where the most talented players in the country line up for their state and play against other states. It is great. I love it. It's a showcase into the future, and clubs focus heavily on this, just like us draft nerds do. Players, if they perform well, they boost up draft boards. In some cases, if they perform badly, they go down the other way. So yeah, let's look at how our club-linked players did over the course of the 4 games. I'm pretty much just going to go through each game and yap about it. And also, this is going to be replacing the player ratings. I apologize. I just don't know if I'm going to be doing that for the rest of the year. It's a lot of effort. And there's going to be so much draft content coming and trade content coming in the next few weeks, so it's going to be hard to find time for that. But let's get into this for now. Alrighty, game 1 against South Australia. Huge loss for Vic Metro. SA dominated, 39-100. Metro had just 26 inside 50s for the game. It was pretty brutal. And the odd thing about this game is the way that Huss and Sweid both played together, because for large parts of this game, they were in the midfield, and that isn't odd for Sweid. He is primarily a centre bounce player at this level, but Hussien isn't. He's played there at Talent League at times, but not enough to suggest he's in there over guys like Ollie Greaves and Rory Wright and people that were, maybe left to the side a bit in that midfield. What it meant was that Metro had a very undersized engine room. Sweid wasn't the smallest there, and he's 175 centimetres tall. He is tiny, so it was an odd decision, which I think, if anything, impacted Sweid of the two. He just wasn't able to get going. The 9 touches, minimal involvement around the ground, couldn't really find space because SA just had so much of the ball. Finished with the 6 tackles, which is good. He wasn't playing the way he wanted to, but the intent was remaining. So 6 tackles, the most on the field. He didn't just give up. He was playing hard all day. 3 clearances too. As for Huss, I feel like we saw a glimpse into what he could look like playing as that kind of Rankin clearance forward type. There are some forwards that feature at centre bounces a few times a game to get maximum impact out of them. There were 1 or 2 times where I saw, how that could look with Huss. Not really enough to warrant giving him the amount of time that he got in there, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he was pretty dangerous. As I said before, 26 inside 50s for the game for Metro. Hussien finished with 4 behind, so he was inaccurate and wasting chances, but the fact he managed 4 scoring shots from 26 inside 50s is really promising. That's a shot at goal every 6 entries. That is, for one player, that is very good. He had the 10 touches, 8 of them were kicks. He does like to go by foot, move it forward over 350 metres gained. Game 1 was probably, disappointing for both these guys, I think. But you could clearly see what there was from moments. Huss getting looks on goal, that intent to win the ball from Sweid with his tackling pressure. But yeah, Metro as a whole were just shocking. It was a pretty weird start to the carnival. Game 2 against Western Australia. Vic Metro this time were able to do the smashing, which was good. It was an odd game of footy. It ended up 77-42. The forwards had a productive day for Vic Metro. The small forwards. Hussien Achkar was super dangerous. He had the 15 disposals, 2 goals, 3 behinds, 11 score involvements. That is, 4 of his 15 disposals weren't score involvements. That was the most on the field, by the way, the 11. He was just electric. I had him amongst my best for that game. He was so lively, so energetic. Stats obviously tell a story, and, leading score involvements is big. Having 5 scoring shots is big, but there was so much he was doing that cannot be measured by stats as well. He was having a huge say on the result. The game called for a bit of class, which he delivered, but also a bit of chaos, which he delivered too. That, I think, for me, was his best game of the carnival. Even though he kicked more goals in another game, I thought he was fantastic here. And so was Adam Sweid. Sweid was up and about. His work in close and personal was awesome. Had the 20 touches, some really classy moments, but also just, grit. 8 tackles, most on the ground. 13 contested possessions, most on the ground. Tied in for the 5 score involvements as well, thanks to his link-up work. And both these guys are really good, really energetic. It was great to watch. I think this was the day after the Gold Coast game in the AFL, which saw a bunch of our young AFL players really impressed. So it was a promising weekend for the club. Game 3 was probably the most eye-catching of the games for our duo. And just in general, this was a really fun game. Allies kicked 186, kicked 86. Metro kicked 128. just a fun game of footy. I really enjoyed watching this one. I was streaming it with Dylan Alexander. Go give him a follow if you haven't already. But yeah, there were goals. That was the highlight. Goals upon goals. Sweid kicked 4, Huss kicked 3. And yeah, it was just fun for Sweid in particular, because my big worry coming into champs and just, footy in general was his size at AFL level and whether or not he could be an effective play or transition into that effective clearance player. But this game was a great glimpse into what role he could play in the future, because he was still in the midfield a lot, but he was featuring a lot in the forward half of the field, and we saw that he was able to hit the scoreboard too, kicked 4 goals to go along with his 16 disposals, led the ground for score involvements with 9, had the 5 clearances. This was Sweid's best game of the carnival by far. That game alone bumped him up the draft order for me, because that is the role he's going to play at AFL level. Kind of like what Ben Hobbs does now, that high half forward, feature at stoppages, be dangerous inside 50, real grit and tenacity at the contest. It was awesome. Really, really good stuff for Sweid. As for Huss, he was just, dangerous inside 50 as usual, getting looks on goal, had the 3 goals, 1 behind, 11 touches, 7 score involvements. It's just, low disposal, high impact. That is exactly what Huss is, low disposal, high impact. But no, this was a really fun game to watch. Both these guys were just fun. They looked like they were out there having fun. 7 goals between the NGA boys. It was good stuff. Game 4, the final game. It was the dead rubber finale rival. It was weird. There were different layers to this, because it shouldn't have been an interesting game. It was an interesting game because there was plenty of heat involved. But in the end, Country surprisingly defeated Vic Metro pretty convincingly, 94-64. It was a mixed bag for our boys. Starting with the quieter of the two, Hussien. He ended with the 6 disposals for the game, 4 of which were score involvements, 1 goal, 1 behind, 4 score involvements. Wasn't really able to get it going. That was the case with a few of the Metro forwards. The ball was down there enough, probably, but Country were just rock solid in defence. And I think it was good to see, a high-profile game where he is kept down, because I liked seeing how he combats, being well held. He managed to get a few looks in, 4 score involvements, but it would have been 5 if the siren didn't sound on him kicking inside 50. So pretty much everything he touched turned into a score. He just didn't touch it enough. So interesting game for Huss. As for Sweid, I thought he was great. He was quiet early. I think maybe 3 or 4 touches at quarter time. Even halfway through the second, he was quiet, but he really flicked the switch and started to get involved just before half time. Ended the game as one of Metro's best players. He had the 24 disposals, a game high 6 clearances, 8 score involvements, team high. Some lovely work in the contest. So many clean release hand passes. He mostly went by hand, 14 hand passes of the 24. But yeah, he was so effective in doing so. It was a really strong performance from Sweid. He started off the campaign poorly, but ended up with an absolute bang. Games 2, 3, and 4 were awesome. He was really productive in all 3 of those. Yeah, so to sum these guys up, I think it was a really good campaign. I think it is really important not just to see these guys at their best, which we did. They were both amongst the best 2 or 3 players on occasion, but also at their worst. Sweid in game 1, Huss in game 4. We saw what their range is, and the fact is, even at their worst, they were still nowhere near the least productive on the field. They still impacted in some way. They weren't completely missing. So Sweid with his tackling pressure in game 1 and his attack on the ball. Hussien with his high impact nature, just every disposal resulting in something. So I think this was, just about a best possible case scenario for these guys this carnival, because if they aced every game, there was a chance they rise too far up draft boards and call for bids like Kako did last year. Instead, I think we saw the raw potential of both these players, and I think both our first rounders are safe. So yeah, if I'm being honest, I thought they were, really good. They've both demonstrated an ability to play at a high level. There are still things that I'm unsure about, like the size. But they're both so tough and love the contest. They love body contact. They are hungry to win and really will themselves to find the footy in dangerous areas. Both really classy and really effective at their best as well. So yeah, I think we've found ourselves with 2 very capable forward half players, and it's a good bonus to come out of our already good draft situation. I think Sweid can come in and replace Hobbs. He has that same level of toughness, but with more nous. And Huss could be a really great partner to Kako in the future. Very similar players with enough differences in their game to separate the two. So yeah, the Bombers have found themselves in a good draft position, and these two proved it at champs. Huss finishes with 6 goals, 10 from his 4 games. Sweid with a string of 3 games where he was either leading the team or, game for clearances, contested possessions, or tackles. So yeah, good stuff to both of them. Let me know what you guys think down below. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.